if you get undressed and get in front of a camera, you too can make all this money. What a terrible message. Welcome to Sunny Side Up Podcast. I am your host, David. Today we have Grant.
Howdy.
Hello, I'm Charlie.
So today we're just going to do a free-for-all. We're just going to shoot the breeze. But we're going to start with a question and just go from there. So the question today is, what gets you excited about life?
Oh my gosh, my favorite one! Aquaman!
Ooh.
Loaded question.
One gets you excited. In what way? Like excited in life in like what way?
So for me, I get excited about completing tasks. Like I mentioned with the podcast with my brother, when you're a kid, all you worry about is what am I going to play with today? What my friends are going to come over, just fun. Mm-hmm. But now I think, okay, what tasks can I get done to just have them off my mind? So for me, I like having goals that I can say, okay, this is done now. What's next? So with this podcast, we were just talking before this about how we can improve the audio quality for the listener. And so I'm thinking, okay, once I get that done, I will feel happy and like I'll be excited of, okay, now for the next one I can have a better quality audio for the the next episode. So that's what makes me happy.
Okay, so the push for the next big thing. All right, nice. I can agree with that. I agree with that a lot. I think what gets me going in life is the fact that you can do anything. That like life is like unlimited possibilities if you just do it, right? Like you can go and apply at the job that you've always wanted, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But I think it's that chance of you have a chance to do anything you want. You might not get there, right? But there's always something that's close. There's always something that the next thing to get. I agree with that a lot. But yeah, it's definitely the variety of things that you can do in life is what keeps me going.
I forgot to mention Rudy. He's our star guest. But anyway, yeah. And I think it's worth mentioning that here in the United States, that is a possibility. And I mentioned in a couple other episodes, the Soviet Union, not really the case.
No.
You do what the government tells you, and if you don't, we probably won't see you again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. I guess my answer to that question kind of relates to yours too, Grant. And that's just the unknown in life kind of gets me excited, not knowing what's going to happen. And definitely like what you were saying, though, having goals, being structured and getting things done, but also what happens after you get those done. You never know what your next goal might be, what you might come across or want to achieve. So I think stuff like that kind of really I look forward to that. I look forward to what I don't know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that gets me excited, and just thinking about all the potential out there. You were saying too, you could go apply for that dream job and get it. You have no idea, but as long as you keep trying and you're setting those goals, the unknowns keep growing too. So I feel like the less goals you set, almost the less unknowns there are, and the more, I guess, foreshadowing there is. If you're not doing anything or getting anything done, you're not going to have those chances or opportunities, right?
Yeah, you're sheltered from your own possibilities.
Then you can only blame yourself.
Yeah, you're putting yourself in a silo.
Yeah, that's a great way to start this, actually. I like that because it brings you into the conversation of so many people today feel that like when they don't get something that they're entitled to, and they're like, I'm entitled to this. And I'm like, you didn't work for it. Like, I think that's like the thing. And that it's also really scary for a lot of people to, as you were saying, like the unknown is super scary for some people because everyone's like, I live in this world. I get up every day. I hit the mic. I'm sorry. I get up in this world. I do the same routine every day. I drive to work. I do the same job. I go home, and that's your life. Like, unless you're doing something extraordinary outside of it, like you live in this small world. Like, I don't think we realize how big like if you take Michigan, like Michigan's a big state. I don't know all of Michigan. I haven't been to all of Michigan, but the area I know very well, and I'm comfortable there. But like, I would love to just drive up north, just stop somewhere, go camping. But like other people are like, no, I like my box.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Some people prefer it, just simplicity or comfort, or
Yeah.
just maybe they thrive in that environment and they know that they can excel there. It's from person to person. It's so different, you know.
yeah.
You mentioned living in your bubble, and I am so grateful to both Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate. So grateful because, and as I mentioned before, some of you don't like him. Who cares? I used to be a person that would like living the 9 to 5 life. I'm just going to do what everyone else in the Matrix does. I'm going to drive my car to work. Like, have no ambition to do anything outside of my bubble.
Yeah.
But then when I listen to those guys, I realize that there's so much more to life than just your little bubble
Yeah.
of, yeah, you got to push yourself. I mean, I'm not happy doing the same thing over and over again. Now, there is some advantageous factors of having a routine, a system to do things to improve. But I mean, when I just do the same things, when I go to work, do the same thing, go home, I don't improve, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can be happy. And that's when you think about the utopian society that several civilizations have been pushing for, that they don't work. I mean, people may think that they want a utopia, but they don't. And I think it's interesting for both genders. They don't want that. Women are more emotional than men. So they're not going to be happy just always at a constant steady state emotion. They're not wired for that. They have more highs and lows. And then men like to fix things.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing to fix, then what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So
I mean, I think there's always going to be stuff to fix, and I think that's just kind of like the way the world works. Is I think we break things and we fix things, and I think that's just kind of the way the world moves. I think with the emotion of it, though, I think as we evolve, I think our emotions are going to change, right? So I think it'll be less so one-sided and so other thing. I think we've come into a generation where emotions kind of driving us more instead of like a structure of we need to keep moving. I think our innovation in life as like a community, as a world, is just kind of slacking. I think we're stuck on that emotional setting.
Yeah.
And I think we're not moving into, like, I expected in 2023 when I was a child to be in a flying car. I watched the Jetsons and I was like,
Yep.
That's what life's going to be when I'm old. It's not. We have hardly made progress in innovation. I mean, you have the SpaceX, which is doing great. I watched a video about one of the rockets recently. It was cool. It was at nighttime. You don't really see people doing that. Normally they're always launched in the day. Made a really cool like sky thing. But like, what are we doing innovation wise? Why are we not flying in cars?
Yeah. I was just trying to think just the other day, speaking of SpaceX, I think they said like Mars or UCLA did a study and you couldn't live on Mars for more than 4 years. You'd die due to radiation. So that whole mission to Mars, sending people there, I don't know if that's really going to happen. I don't think you could get people back from Mars.
How long does it
Yeah.
take to get to Mars?
Because think of all the resources, materials it takes to build a rocket here on Earth and send it to Mars. They can't do that from Mars.
No.
They have to bring it with them and do it. And it's just not possible.
Yeah. I mean, where would
You would die there.
Yeah.
Within a couple of years, you would die.
You have to keep re-entering people up there and keep sending people to keep fixing, building stuff because
Just telling them, do it. You'll probably die of cancer in a couple of years, but
Yeah. I mean, how practical is living on Mars, especially in our lifetime?
I mean,
it's
I don't
probably
think
a year to get there or so. I mean, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah,
I'm not into space exploration myself, but it's probably a year journey or so.
Why
Around
don't we?
there, 6 months plus.
Why do we not study the oceans more?
That's a good one.
Like
Yeah.
we're so
Yeah.
fascinated with space, which is never ending, and like so we're all gung ho about this. Like we got to explore this never ending vast vacuum. When we have our planet that we haven't even fully
You're right.
explored to see, like we're just now uncovering with all like the drought and stuff. We're just now uncovering ancient civilizations. Like we need to do more research at home.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good point too. That's something I like talking about too. Is just like our past civilizations and what we've lost, what we forget from them.
Yeah.
That's it's a kind of almost scary.
Yeah, and you are fantastic with history. And I remember the first time I talked to you, I was like, "Holy cow, this guy's like knows a lot." And I always liked history when I was in school, but I've recently been listening to a lot of history videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to just pick through those videos and just see what are people doing across all civilizations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed that people will pick basically yes men, so people that will just agree with everything that they say, kill everybody else, and then just run an empire until they are killed because they become narcissistic, and then they piss off a bunch of people, and then, oh, we got to get rid of this guy, so we just kill him, and then the whole thing starts again. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you live in the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire, Vikings, whatever. That's just the way that people operate. And so it's fun to watch those videos, listen to them, and say, okay, I listened to one on the Vikings, Ottoman Empire, Byzantine Empire, Persian Empire, Roman Empire. They all do the same thing.
Yeah, it's the oldest play in the book. You know, any
Yeah.
any dictator, it's the go-to. Get the yes men around you, kill anyone that you fear, and then just conquer Rome. I mean,
Yeah.
it's human nature almost in a way. I feel like
Hmm.
it's a primal instinct, definitely, and I think it's really interesting too. Listening to podcasts and animal interactions or chimps, you know,
Yeah.
how they interact, and we're really no different when it comes down to it.
Mhm.
We're very territorial. I think countries are just another way of expanding upon territory. You know, it's official. You can't do this. Oh, you come over here, we have a war. Okay, chimps do the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
you're swinging on the wrong tree, or we're gonna kill you. We're just a little bit smarter. So I never try to give us too much credit because, you know, we're
Yeah.
humans, man. We're animals when it comes down to it. But the impact that we have on this earth is not something you can just not pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good point that you bring up about we're basically behave the same as chimps. Because, yeah, we're living in a house built by other smart human beings that were able to build a house, and we have our societies, but when you boil it all down, it's really, no different. If you come here and take my bananas, I'm going to come after you. Like, you're not taking my bananas, dude. Like, I'm going to kill you for that.
yeah,
And, I mean, if I conquer some land and then somebody tries to take it, it's like, well, I'm not going to just say, okay, you can have it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not sure if other animals are necessarily like it to the point where primates are. You know, to the point like you did it, and say, you know, like a moose runs into a territory, another moose doesn't like it, charges at it, they fight, and he runs off. Okay, you're fine. But primates will remember things, and that's where like they'll go and stage attacks and
Like
it's-
ambush.
Yeah, but yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like you'll see those videos of, you know, monkeys going and ripping heads off of other tribe monkeys or packs. I don't know what's
That's why
the
we
proper
call it
term.
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, I know. But I think we're, you know, being Homo sapien, we're not too far off. You know, we've only been around for like 200,000 years. So, I mean, Earth is what, 4.5 billion and growing. So
Yeah.
we're like 0.1%
Of the total time.
of the total time. Yeah, it's also crazy when you think 200,000 years and just now the past 3,000 years we have recorded history. I mean, Mesopotamia, but
Yeah.
we're starting to uncover more and more too. That's another thing. That's a whole nother dive in ancient archaeology and
Yeah.
underfunding and, you know, just where it is. You know, so many places are in these uninhabitable regions where we would never be able to discover it without modern technology. So
Yeah.
that's exciting too. You know, that gets me excited for the future.
And it, like, thinking about, all right, you know, we were started with what makes me happy in 2023. And you think, how different is that from somebody in that time frame? Or even somebody in a third world country? Like I mentioned in the first one, those tribes in Africa. What makes them happy is not being attacked by an animal,
Yeah.
finding food and water. I mean, how simplistic is that?
Yeah, and they're happy too. I mean, I see
Yeah.
those videos. They're always some of the happiest, most joyous people you ever see.
I wonder what it'd be like to have them on a podcast.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Just to be like,
yeah,
if they could like fully understand, like I mean, I don't know I think that some of our ancient civilizations are way more advanced, way smarter, very complex. But I mean, even if you could get to the point of being able to have a conversation and be able to see like, hey, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and kind of like just learn off that. I feel like we don't, doing like all the archaeological digs, we get a lot of information, but like we don't get that valuable like knowledge of like, this is what mistakes they made. Like we learn a lot, but we don't get to learn from the mistakes. I think that's something I wish we could do. I wish we had technology that could almost bring back like some form of somebody's like mental
their culture.
Yeah. Did you guys hear there was a mummy recently found that was like fully intact, organs were still intact, and I asked my girlfriend, I was like, I wonder if it's like one of those toys where you just pour water on it and it comes back to life.
Shrinky-dink kind of thing, yeah.
I mean, I know it's not like it's just funny to say at the end, but like, what if we could get to the point where we could have mummies? Like, if that was the idea, the intent of mummies was that we were supposed to rehydrate them, bring it back, and they were supposed to like live. Because we freeze people. What's the difference there? Like, we incubate people.
Yeah.
You know, in frozen chambers. It's like the same idea that we're trying to do here is we're trying to preserve a body to like live in the further. So we all follow this idea. I mean, not everybody, but like throughout generations of life, people still continue to do that. Is there a way that you think that like we could take a living heart, put it in them, so like, add all the blood, do all that stuff? You think science will ever get to the point where we could reanimate a zombie? Like,
That's a crazy question. I don't know. Didn't Neuralink just receive like a FDA approval or something like that?
I think I heard something about it. I don't know if it was
true or
approved,
not,
but I think they were asking for it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to neurology. I don't know anything about neurology, but I mean, I've heard of people like freezing brains and stuff with the hope that you can just have like a conscious state.
Yeah.
And if you're able to bring that back, that gets you thinking really deep. Is like what happens when you die? Yeah. What happens?
That's a brain
or is it
twister.
is it neurological chemicals that make you, you know, I was talking about this last night and it's a wormhole, but thinking about what makes you feel those emotions, what gives you consciousness, what gives you the ability to think and not just be reactive.
Yeah.
Is it the makeup? Obviously, you know, the physical makeup of our minds, but is it something else? And that's a hard one.
Obviously, this has been pondered before because Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Somebody else thought about this, at least, was it 90 years ago when they made that movie. I wonder if you could make a person like those rat rods. They just get a bunch of parts from different cars and just build it. Like, I wonder if you could do that with a person.
I feel like it's possible. I feel like it has to be. Like,
it will be at some point.
We run off the same almost like cortex of like, we have electricity in our bodies. We run off of fuel pretty much. It's like our edible fuel. We produce fuel, right? Like, we run off almost like a car. Like, I feel like there has to be a way that you can make it work if you have like maybe a component that's purely alive already. I feel like you'd have the ability to reanimate. I think that would be a really insane scientific discovery to really make. I feel like we're probably already doing that. I feel like it's probably
Area 51.
I don't know. I don't think Area 51's is either. Area 51's an actual like secret facility that's so secret that it's hiding in plain sight, or it's just a hoax of we just want people to. No,
man. You ever listen to Bob Lazar?
No.
Oh, that's a good one. You ever listen to Bob?
Is he the
guy that? He worked at Area 50. He was like S3 or whatever. He's worth a listen if you guys are out there looking for a good one.
That
he
was
has
a
insane
section. Was
stories.
S3?
So yeah, it was a base north of Area 51. You know, FBI is probably going to come knocking on my door tomorrow, but you can go on Google Maps. He describes it on the podcast as like a secret hangar door on the side of a mountain. You go on Google Maps, there's just a square cut out in the side of this mountain with rocks over top of it. And you're like, no way. No way that this is on Google right now. But you think about it, it's like, the government's not going to tell Google about it. They'd be like, hey, block this off. Just hope no one would ever find it. But yeah, that's everything that man has said so far lines up to be true.
That reminds me, and I was laughing hysterically when I found this out. When the United States captured Saddam, that he was hiding in a hole in the ground with a rug over the top of the hole.
Yeah. It was, wasn't he out, he was out on some farm or something.
Yeah,
like
it was like this little farm compound. I think it
with
was
his chef. I don't know.
like 50 miles north
Personal
of
chef.
Baghdad or something. But he just had a bunch of tuna cans in his little hiding hole. But it's just insane to me that the man had a golden toilet seat. That's how rich he was. And then when
In a hole in the ground?
he resorts, so he goes from having a golden toilet seat to digging a hole in the ground, probably with a shovel in his own hands, hiding in it with tuna cans, putting a rug over the top of it, hoping that nobody finds him.
And we did
It was
find
crazy
him for a while.
it was crazy how they did find him though. I think Army Rangers were on that
Yeah,
one.
they were just kind of like, oh, I wonder what's under this.
That cell
Hey,
phone.
get out of
things.
there, man.
Yeah.
You don't belong in there.
Yeah, they were just the whole chase. I mean, after 9/11, what the CIA, all the special forces did, it was just raid,
Yeah.
capture, and then sending those guys to black sites. That was something else too.
It's just, I find it so funny that you go from the wealthiest
Yeah.
person in that country to literally in a hole in the ground.
It's a pretty bad fall. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
That's rock bottom.
and then they took
That's
it a,
under rock bottom.
they took it a step further too. After they captured him.
Oh,
So, yeah.
of course.
So,
but
he took another fall.
yeah,
Leave it at that.
they hung him, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's someone recorded it on their cell phone, and I remember it was like 2004. Was it? I was a kid.
I think so. Yeah.
I was such a young kid. And the Iraq War kind of just started, and I remember in the back of my mom's car and seeing people like with picket signs saying like, "Oh, we're killing," and it's like, okay, like Saddam Hussein's not a great guy either, and if someone in Iraq captured him, it would have been way worse.
Yeah.
So, and I think they actually turned that over. It's not like the U.S. executed him.
I don't think so.
No, it
I
was.
don't want to say for sure.
I know,
I
yeah.
can't remember, but do you know that he was in Detroit in 1980?
What was that about? I may have heard something
What?
like that.
They gave him the key to the city in
For what?
Detroit. Here, and for those of you listening, we're in the Detroit area. I'd have to do more research about this, but I know he came here in like the 80s, and we welcomed him with open arms.
Because he was rich.
Yeah, he was a politician.
Probably
he was
hoping
rich.
he was going to give money to Detroit. I mean,
Yeah.
80s we had
We
riots.
needed it, yeah.
We were.
Detroit would have taken money from him.
Yeah, we would have.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Does that make us? Would that have made us like?
Yeah. Well, at the time, no.
We're taking money away from terrorists, though. Does that like?
Dude, that's a double sword. That's a
But-
hard question.
yeah,
It's like
why-
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Why he came here though, as opposed to another city?
I mean,
I
back
don't
then
know.
we were. I feel like it probably was a good opportunity. I mean, Detroit was going to shambles.
Yeah.
I mean, that was. You got the 60s and 70s are the slowly turning downhill.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s is our descent to just where we're at now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's. I think it was such a point in Detroit's economy that it was like, I can go here. I could probably invest in certain things. I bet you it was probably a play that he had, and
I'm sure.
I don't know what happened in the end of it, but I mean,
Maybe he's trying to get vehicles. Who knows?
yeah,
Yeah.
just
He
trying to
walked
get-
into Ford. Hey, I need like 30,000 F-150s by tomorrow. Air
Yeah.
freight them, please. And
Yeah.
then Toyota's like, nah, we got you. We got some Tacomas, some little 99s.
Everybody is calling Saddam like, "Oh, do business with us."
He's just a international car dealer now. That was
Yeah.
That was like North Korea. You ever hear when they still? I think it was Volvo. North Korea ordered some like 20,000 vehicles or something from a European automaker.
Really?
Never paid them back. Never paid them for it. It's just like it was like a probably 10-year loan installment that they had. And North
Really?
Korea just ghosted them. So it's like the largest car theft in history.
What?
Yeah. I mean, that's roughly, I'm sure I'm butchering that, but
Well, it's like
Every time they called, hey, you need to get payment? We have nukes. Do you though?
yeah, I'm willing to call it Volvo versus North Korea, man. World War III.
I mean, their nukes can only go like 30 miles.
Are
Absolutely.
they even
think they could-
nukes?
I feel like they're just
Apparently, they launched
Radiation
one
bombs.
at us, but only made it about like 30 miles into the Pacific Ocean, and then it just sank.
They probably hurt themselves more than us.
Yeah.
all the radiation went back. Damn, dude, I keep hitting the mic.
I mean, I guess we can bring that up Ukraine right now, talking about it. So
Yeah.
the hypersonic missiles. I don't know if you've been following
I
the
haven't,
service, but we've been shooting them down with Patriot missiles essentially.
Okay.
I heard that. So it's I think Patriot missiles were using in like '01, maybe even before then, and now like Russia's new hypersonic unstoppable missiles are just being taken out by those. So
Unstoppable.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was like
unstoppable.
unstoppable. I mean, we're getting
But, like,
taken out though, right?
recently in Ukraine, I've been seeing people moving back in. People are actually coming back to Ukraine right now. Is the worst kind of like the front line is solidifying maybe, and I'm not keeping extreme tabs on it, but people are almost going back to somewhat of a sense of normal.
Really?
Very strange. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that or anything, but it just makes me wonder: is like how long is this going to last?
You know what I think is funny?
That's the scary part.
Is I almost think, other than before we had like this media, right? With us living in a media world, this is the most covered and yet uncovered. Like, we don't cover this war. Like, Iraq, Afghanistan, you had videos, you had everything. People were on the ground there. We don't have a lot of that. You watch the news, you don't see, like, you see old footage.
News, yes, the
You're
news,
not,
though.
yeah, but I mean, we kept up with new footage through the Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, all of that. But this, we're not here, but we're sending so much money.
So yeah,
We're sending them so much money. It's insane. The amount of money that we have sent to Ukraine is crazy. And I think if we keep doing that, I think with everything going on with China, Russia, what is it, Iran, North Korea, is it Venezuela,
Brazil.
We're so spread thin.
They are all converting to the yen for trade.
Yeah,
And they're pulling oil, they're doing all of this, and I think it's... And then also you gotta look, July comes the end of the, we put that hold on mortgages, or the back pay or something like that. We put a hold during COVID for like houses paying mortgages and stuff like that, and that all ends come July. Which means that's where everyone's saying the recession's gonna hit.
Cool.
And
Need some
reference-
foreclosures.
Yeah, I gotta buy a house.
Yeah,
How
me
sad
too.
is that, though? I mean,
Wait, so that's this July?
Yeah, they're saying that this July is supposed to come down to there are all of those like laws that were put in place for like temporary like holding off or going away,
Okay.
and so it's
That's
like
good to know.
it needs to, like, people either, if they don't pay, obviously we're just gonna get foreclosed on. But like 2008 was roughly about the same thing that we're in now. Like, I mean, it was a different avenue to get to where we're going. It was a lot of greed within people selling houses and like the way they were selling it with the loans and like bad loans and stuff like that. But this time it's just our economy is just financially destroyed.
Yeah. I do want to bring up something with the Ukraine thing.
yeah.
So you mentioned we're not really seeing a whole lot of news
Yeah.
on it. And I kind of get that for two reasons. One, Russia is not going to really put out a whole lot, especially to their own people, but let alone the whole world. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. And two, from the Ukraine side, that I think the majority of the United States is supporting, we're still a neutral party to the war. And so I can't, I mean, the only stuff that I have seen is, Ukraine is getting the upper hand on Russia. But I'm thinking, if that's all I see, and that is truly the only case, why is the war still going on? If Ukraine has won everything so far, which is what I have seen as of yet, the war can't still be going on. And so I think we are more on the side of Ukraine, but we can't, I don't think that we can send out propaganda to the United States saying we're on the Ukraine side. We're
not allowed to back Ukraine. We're not allowed to.
That's
So
the thing.
it's weird that we're even allowed to send them as much money as we have and the weapons that we have, because under there's a certain law that the UN put together, but they're not part of NATO. And that's why we didn't step in earlier.
Okay.
Is right. They applied to be part of NATO, and then
that's
Russia
right,
made a
yeah.
threat, and then we denied them. And then I think we went back and we went through the applying process with them, and I think we still denied them. They're not part of NATO. I feel like that might be part of it, but if we're sending that much money over there, we have a stake in this war.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
like-
aside from
Well-
directly attacking Russia, we're at about as close to backing Ukraine as we can, can get.
I still think I think it's almost breaking. I don't know the law. I don't know like the articles that I'm like by like off the top of my head like in detail, but if I'm not mistaken, because they're not part of NATO, we're not supposed to be even supporting, because it can cause rift between us and other countries like China, Russia, and like North Korea.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think the people getting the most benefit out of it are like all the defense contractors or defense companies.
Elon Musk.
You know, Raytheon, Lockheed, all of them are just like, oh, we get to test our equipment on a live battlefield, send it over.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
this is the best opportunity you're going to get. And I mean, like, it sounds like we've gotten some good news out of it too.
yeah. It's not a total loss, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, money. Because one of the guys I worked with was in the military, and he said, this is the best chance that we can get to test our new equipment
Mm-hmm.
as we can get.
Yeah.
Because we're not in the war, but we're having it tested.
Yeah, we're having other people test it kind of for us so that we can be like, we can go to the buyers later and be like,
Yeah.
this worked out really well. We'll take 28,000 of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, now we know how to defeat the Russians
Yeah.
if the case ever comes up.
Oh,
I mean, if people in D.C. are making money off the war, and which they are right now.
Why would they
it's-
stop?
Why would they stop? I mean, you look at any situation, just follow the money.
hmm
It's always greed or money. Very rarely nowadays is it just power. You look at North Korea. Sure, it's money, but it's more of a power thing. With Putin, he may be the richest man in Russia. I feel it's still more of a power thing. He doesn't do it for the money.
no, it was
There's-
a power trip.
Yeah, you could even say Donald Trump. He had all the money in the world. It was a power thing.
Yeah.
The power within.
So there's few cases and few individuals in the world that like still do it for power, not money. But in 9 out of 10 situations, it's about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I would venture to say that, you have to trace the money. Any problem that we have now, somebody is making money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if we have another mass genocide. Somebody is going to make money.
Someone will find a way to
Yeah.
flip it, and sell a lease to you during the genocide.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Let's get a new roof on your house after it got bombed.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be you, man. Hey, I want me to wash your driveway. It looks like you have some
Rubble.
gunpowder.
yeah. Because, I mean, if on a much smaller example, but me, I mean, I see a void in the positive influence in today's society.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what am I doing right now?
Talking to the audience.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to add something while growing the channel. I'm not trying to conquer anything,
Yeah.
but I'm
Trying to conquer this channel.
make a couple bucks, So it's like, I mean, yeah, there's a much bigger difference between a mass genocide and making a YouTube channel, but it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Like I saw a problem and okay, well, I might be able to have a solution for that.
Yeah, I mean that's entrepreneurialism in a nutshell, right? I mean, just looking at the world, identifying problems, and coming up with solutions, and then not only the solution, you have to take it a step further and get customers or find clients or ways to apply it. It's like I could know the cure to cancer in my head, but am I going to be able to cure cancer?
No.
I got to go to Pfizer, and they're just gonna, I'll probably end up dead, right? But
Yeah.
it's that's a whole different story.
But I mean, you know about that.
What?
And I guess now would be a great time to advertise your business. He does power washing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I own a power washing company called Diamond Pressure Cleaning Services. Sorry, I just apparently don't know how to say my own company name.
Shameless plug, just do it.
But yeah, no, it's a very unique thing being able to like own a company and be able to see the way that you have to market things. And like, again, I know we're talking about a war and like different ways about making money, but like, you're right. It's pretty much the same. You have to be able to play both sides. And like, that's the crazy thing. So like when somebody tells me, oh no, I don't need a power washer. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you know someone who does? And then
Right.
I'm like, here's some flyers, pass them out for me. So I don't have to spend any money. I don't have to like do anything. They're doing all the extra work for me, but like I get to make money off of it, which is nice. But it's always difficult. And I think you find an easier way to make money when you do things the wrong way. And like, that's the sad thing. I think it's really sad that we have a society that's willing to. Now, don't get me wrong. I think drug dealers are some of the best businessmen in the world. I say that because they're very. I know that seems wrong, but like
They're efficient at what they do.
They're really efficient, and like the fact that you're doing something illegal and you're selling stuff, it's greed that gets into it, which is like the power, the greed of all of it. What's the point?
We're sorry we ran out of batteries. We're
Yeah.
continuing his point about drug dealers being some of the best business people in the world.
Yeah, so I honestly think that they're really good businessmen because, and women, there's drug women out there, you know. You're taking something that's bad and like is bad and illegal, and you have to sell it to people who know it's bad, and you have to play into a side of them being like, but come on. Like, like the sale of drugs, and then once you get addicted, obviously it becomes easy, right?
Junkies are a whole different story.
Yeah, it gets easier to a point, but that initial sale of trying to get somebody that's new to drugs, it's the aspect of they have a product that is so widespread, although illegal, right? But they can make it so much money off of it selling so little to so much. And at the point of if they go to jail, they're like, I've made all this money, I can pay my bail, right? And it's really kind of like my thought is it became legal in Michigan because, and in so many other states, because we found a way to tax things, right? Look at prohibition. We made alcohol legal. We figured out we could tax it. It's now legal. More people die drinking alcohol than they do smoking weed. I mean, obviously, I'm not putting into effect also like meth, all those other like drugs, but like if we just do the distinction of like weed drug dealers, it's not harming anybody to a degree, right? But at the end of the day, they have such a good business reel where they come up with don't smoke your own supply or don't do your own supply, which comes in the aspect of like if you work at Foot Locker, don't buy into Foot Locker. Right? They save all of their money. I feel like if you put it into a day 9 to 5 job, and I'm saying job, not career, because there's a difference. You're looking at people spend most of their money that they make from a paycheck if they work at McDonald's or any fast food, like any clothing store that they like, any footwear, anything that they have like an interest in, they always end up sending it back, right? So if I pay someone and I'm a drug dealer and I pay someone, hey, go work this corner, and they're like a druggie, they're going to come back and buy my drugs, right? It's a good way of doing things. But we do that with everything. And now I'm losing my point. So I've said drugs too many times.
Following the money.
Yeah, it's exactly. You find an avenue of making money. And I think we do that with everything. But they're hard workers. You gotta work to be able to get it. Imagine like trying to sell drugs to someone and they're a cop. Like that's like how scary is that gotta be to wake up every day knowing I could be arrested today for trying to make money to feed my family. Like I think we take away and we criminalize poor areas for them being innovative and making a way to do it. I mean,
innovative is a stretch. I don't know.
That's fair.
I like to look at it explicitly with drug dealers and issues like that in communities from like more of a macro bird's eye view. And say like, okay, I understand you're trying to provide for your family. You're trying to, do what's right for your situation, but what are you doing to those around you? These people live in your community. You could be one family, one dad trying to sell drugs for his kids, but then harming 30 other, parents in the process. So, I mean, like, trying to look at it, but that's where, in America especially, we have individuality, and everyone wants to be independent and do their thing, and it's like, you're not responsible for worrying about your neighbor, You don't wake up every day and be like, oh, I wonder if he needs a ride to work or something. No, like, we're in America. Right. Everyone does their own thing, and, it's like, just don't leave people alone and you'll be left alone kind of thing. So, but then, that's when you look at them and it's like, yeah, they have a business, but they're really kind of doing a harm to everyone. Yeah. So
I'm not condoning drugs.
But I mean, like,
I just want to make that very clear. I know it sounds like I'm like idolizing them. The drugs are bad, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is you can do a lot and make a company out of something, right?
It's just the business model.
Yeah, the business model of it is really what I'm trying to point out here. I keep hitting the mic. I'm going to say that like 4 more times during this episode, but it's really just the business model. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. they affect their neighborhoods and it makes it a lot worse in the area. I get that completely. And that's very wrong and bad. But the point I'm just making is if you look at the business model of they're working to do something to provide, like you said, we're a very individual country. We're all very selfish, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Would be the word. And I think in a selfish matter, they're doing what they think is right to provide. And I guess that goes into that morality of like, would you steal to feed your family, right? Would you sell drugs to feed your family? Like, there's so many other avenues than doing the wrong thing that could hurt others to being able to be successful. I think it's just when you're put in a place and everybody tells you that you can't do much, you get pushed into these corners. And I think those corners are what we need to stop having. Is we keep pushing certain area codes into corners of like, we look at you in this like light. This is how you're always going to be looked as. Figure it out. And that comes into the selfishness. Like, I don't have to help you. You're going to figure it out. But now I'm going to, I'm not going to be there and supporting you when you're doing something wrong. Now I'm going to be like, all right, now you're in the criminal justice system. Now you're like getting arrested. You're in prison. Like we aren't helping anybody get out of those spots. We're cornering them and we're like, figure it out, face the corner, do what you got to do. But just know whatever it is, if it's wrong, we're going to arrest you.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, time's up.
It's not like, hey, if you get in this spot, like, come to us. Well, I
think it's one of the biggest problems is like once you do get out of jail or prison, is finding a job.
Yeah,
I mean, why you look at your options? It's like everything is entry level. You know, you're making $15 an hour now, which is like I think like standard minimum wage entry level kind of jobs around there. Yeah, in Michigan at least. I mean, it could be different in Iowa. It could be different in New York City, right? But there's no opportunity. Aside from, I mean, if you really want to get back on your feet, you're going to go and you start committing those illegal crimes, making money, doing what you got to do, stealing, robbing, selling, you know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I was
it's a shame. It's terrible, yeah.
And I stole. I stole to put clothes on my back. I was homeless. I was living outside. I was like, I went into Meijer because it was 24 hours. I don't know if it still is, but I mean, I would just wear layers of clothes. I'd go in the changing room. I'd put them all on. The only difference is when I was done, after I like got like better, I took them back. I mean, they all just were in a pile. I didn't like put them back nicely, but like I did what I thought was making the situation I did wrong, correcting it. Is I returned them back to the store months after, but like still, I was like, that's me doing the right thing.
It's just a rental.
Yeah, I was just they were on loan to me.
Yeah, just, you know, tax free.
Free,
fee free. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we were talking about, and I thought of this when you guys were talking about just having accountability and incentives for people. And to me, like I said, you know, I was reading or listening to videos about history, and I find Soviet history really interesting. And I think, was it either Colombia or Venezuela, I believe, has a socialist...
Venezuela.
Okay. They have like a socialist economy or government. I don't think that's the right way to go, because when you don't have 100% accountability and incentive placed upon every person, I don't think that's the way that humans operate.
Yeah, it's the incentive, it's free will, it's doing what you want to do, and then like there's just not opportunity there. So I think a lot of countries go to socialism just because they don't have that economy, and it's just like training wheels in a way. Trying to get people moving, trying to get some sense of a government there. Because, I mean, like, you look at a free market in Venezuela compared to a free market in America. Those are two completely different things. Like, sure, same premise, but
they come out very different.
I can go to, you know, this is not shots at Venezuela, but, like, okay, I go to Target, I buy my groceries, whatever, I buy other stuff. Like, there is no Target at Venezuela. I'm just assuming they don't have massive American grocery stores.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like the training wheels with socialism. And then, I mean, even in Europe, I've had friends that are Finnish, and they tell me that they go back and their family hates it. They really don't like
Go back to
to Finland
Okay.
and socialist states in Northern Europe, and it's just people don't really like it. I mean, I hear in the media, oh, you know, they're ranked best this in the world, best schools and hospitals and health system, but there's not a lot of free will out there. You know, you can't really go and start up a business out of nothing, and it's so much harder. I mean, it's really kind of like a playground here in America. Whatever you want to do, just go for it.
Yeah. Socialism is like a retirement home for the government. It's kind of what it is. It's like Florida for countries. Like, if you want to live very minimalistic socialism, like after you've made yourself in this world, I think like America, people come to America to like have a great beginning and build something. And I think you're supposed to retire in another country and, you know, have that minimalistic life, because at that point, I mean, I love America, but like, I mean, our health system's trash.
Oh yeah.
It's like, we do not help enough people. But if I'm an old person, I retire here, I am less likely to get the help that I need than if I retired in Finland or Switzerland. You know, like, I would be able to go there as an old person and be like, I broke my hip. Cool. It's free. Right. There's a lot of benefit at a certain age, I think, to be in that. But like, I don't know. I agree. It's like a stepping stone to being able to get there. But I really think I don't know.
You don't learn much from it.
No,
it's not extremely challenging for people.
It's almost like the dystopian thing you were talking about earlier. It's like,
we think we have corruption here in America, but just wait till you have socialism. You know, I've talked to people actually that live in the Netherlands, and say all the time, like, most corrupt thing ever. It's just politicians keep re-electing politicians, and you don't really have much of a say.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because at first it seems, oh, this sounds like a great place to live, like affordable, whatever. But then, like I said, people just get tired of the same thing. You will, in America, if you don't have a lot of money when you're born, you can get money throughout the course of your life. Like, there is that possibility. But in socialism, that's not a thing. And so you're so like that silo thing. The idea. I heard Steve Harvey was saying that if you put a flea has a vertical jump of 36 inches. Yeah. Okay, I'll explain. So a flea has a vertical jump of 36 inches. If you put them in a jar and put the lid on the jar, they can't jump 36 inches. So they learn that whatever 6 inches of jar space that they have, even when you take the lid off the jar, they still can't jump out. They learn, okay, I'm limited at 6 inches.
Don't want to hit the lid.
Yeah, exactly. And so even the offspring of that flea, they can't jump 36 inches.
They will never be able to jump 36 inches because they were taught to only jump 6.
So like in a socialist society, you have a cap. You're limited. There's a ceiling. To me, and I think to most people, whether or not they want to admit it, it's extremely limiting, and I would never want to live there. Why would anyone work hard?
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
It's like going to a job and being like, we're going to add stuff onto your list. We're going to pay you the same, but you're going to do a lot more work.
It's
great job, pal.
Yeah, good job. We'll do a pizza day in honor of you doing such a good job, but you get one slice only.
Yeah.
Like, dude, come
3
on.
3 pepperonis, no more.
Yeah, it's like, it's funny because like, well, last night I was watching this document about the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker. Right? This man, don't get me wrong, obviously it ended badly for him, but like, this man became famous and could have made millions and millions and millions of dollars off like the rip of one video, one interview. You don't get that anywhere else. There's hatchet
wielding.
You got to look it up. It's on Netflix. It's great. So
I'm confused. Is he a killer? Or?
So yes, he turns out to be one. But for any,
I would have thought, man, dang.
for anybody who I'm spoiling this for you two, I don't know if you guys want to watch it. It's still, there's a lot of information to watch. It's really good. But his name's Kai. He was a viral sensation back in like 2008. 2016 area, somewhere between that long speck of time. But yeah, there was this, he was hitchhiking with this trucker dude, and then they like smoked a joint. Some people say he laced it, whatever, but dude ends up hitting this guy and like piercing him against another vehicle, right? And then like this lady's trying to help him, and he like loses his mind, and he's like attacking this girl, and he just goes smash, smash, and smash. Like that's like a very famous meme of him, is the smashing memes. But yeah, so he was like, everybody wanted, he was on Jimmy Kimmel. Like he was, he had an opportunity to make greatness and be able to have a house. Dude just wanted to live free on like the roads and stuff like that. But like, yeah, and then he turned around and killed like a lawyer.
Dang.
Yeah. 3 months later. He had 3 months to make his life different. Like that's the crazy thing. Your life can change in seconds in America, or you can choose not to do anything.
That's the unknown, man. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. You never know, and that's like something just going through, you know, in the business world the past year, and like hiring, just interviewing for jobs is just, like not getting them could be a blessing in disguise, you know,
Or getting fired.
like just not getting discouraged is such a hard part of life, and just like gonna keep going, gonna keep my head up, gonna keep going, and like it's held true for me that like not getting one job, and then I end up getting one that's even better after that, and like you're so upset at that moment the first time. But then you realize, and you look back and like, man, as long as you stay at it and stay motivated, like you will be okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, everything is an opportunity. Whether or not you see it in that present moment is up to you. But everything is an opportunity. And I heard, I'm sure I'm going to mess this up, but I heard Dan Bilzerian.
You got it. Yep.
I don't really care for him
Yeah.
that much, but I think it was on Joe Rogan, and he was saying something like, he heard a fable of this guy had a son, and everybody in the town was like, oh, it's great. Like, well, maybe. And then as the kid got older, he broke his leg, and then everyone in the town was like, oh, that's terrible. It's like, well, maybe. And then the military came by and wanted to draft him, but he had the broken leg, so he couldn't go. And everyone in town said, oh, that's great. It's like, well, maybe. So, like, you never know how something can impact your life, good or bad.
Yeah.
But like I said, whether or not you realize that in this current moment is up to you.
Yeah. Perspective is everything, man. And I mean, perspective and attitude, but I mean, perspective alters everything when it comes right down to it. How you view the world, and just it ties into emotion. It ties into everything. You know, it's like you could look at any situation, say, what were you talking about? Drug dealers?
Yeah.
You could look at it in the light of like, oh, they're terrible, they're harming their community, or he's an entrepreneur and he's doing anything he can to provide. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. It's crazy.
We were talking about drug dealing, and I also we coming back to that conversation, but the idea of like easy money, with OnlyFans.
Oh.
I mean, how
I have one.
when
Yeah, that's actually true.
like when you think about human history throughout recorded history, which is 3,000 to 4,000 years. When have we ever done anything like this before? Never. We
Japan.
What?
Yeah, so there was a span of like 200 years in Japan. I think it was like 60, or what was it, 17th to 18th century. Most women, it was just all prostitution. It was called
Really?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of crazy. It was one of their like kind of degenerative periods. All
Apparently.
of their all of it was I'm forgetting the name of it. Something Island, I don't know, but it was a period of just like indulgence, really, for 200 years, where they're like, we have good technology, better than all of our neighbors. You know, China was still smart, but anyone south and north of them, the Koreans were a little behind. They had fantastic art, like what's behind you right now.
Yeah.
And they loved women. So it was really like, that was like the only thing. You had these like beautiful Japanese Oriental styled homes, and they were really just like brothels. That was for a while, but you look what it amounted to, and it was like, it's the degenerative period.
Yeah. And
So
going kind of backing up what I'm saying, it's like, I mean, OnlyFans has really come up within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
There's no possible way this is good for our society.
no.
Oh, I completely agree. I don't.
No possible way. And I know all the girls that do it, they have this is the furthest thought from their mind. They are not thinking about any of this.
No, they're just thinking about the money.
Like and I saw this on a Snapchat story, and this made me so mad. I was watching, I don't even know what you call these things, but it's just like a short story, I guess, if
Yeah.
you want to call it that. But they lined up different young people that were entrepreneurs in some sense. So I remember one guy reviewed tech gadgets on YouTube. Another guy made finance TikToks or something just to educate people. Like he had knowledge about finance, so he wanted to tell it. And I can't remember what the other ones were, but there were 5 or 6 people, and they had to rate themselves. Who do you think out of all of us makes the most and makes the least? And then when they actually found out how much each one made, the OnlyFans girl made like way more than everyone else, and there was like confetti, like, oh, congratulations. What do you think that is doing to young girls in our country? Like, oh, if you get undressed and get in front of a camera, you too can make all this money. What a terrible message to.
It's empowerment, though.
Don't
get me down that train where it's empowering and freedom. It's like, I mean, it's what are you providing the world with? That's the thing, and like I try to look at myself and be like, what is my contribution to this planet?
I don't care what you're going to do, but go out there and make something of yourself for God's sake. Be an honest person and work and get to the top of whatever it is that you want to get to the top of.
I'm not shaking my ass on Craigslist, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like I want to actually provide something and not take. Like I'd feel almost
like a
guilty
parasite.
just taking. Yeah, exactly, like a parasite.
So it's like
scamming.
When I saw this, I'm like, anyone can watch this. Anyone with the phone can see this video. And again, young girls saying, "Oh, this girl made a couple $1 million." Like, how enticing is that offer?
It's an enticing offer.
Decent,
yeah.
Which is sad because like I've always wanted to have kids, and no.
I'm scared.
If I ever caught my daughter in front of a camera doing anything that was like remotely near what I'm seeing, like I've seen on like TikToks and stuff like that, I'm just like, I'm gonna go old school.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like I know, like I'm not saying like beat your children. I'm saying like that's not what I'm going with. I mean, like I was spanked as a kid, right? And like I was punished. Like
you turned out all right.
I turned out all right. I mean, I had some bumps in my road of like getting to where I'm at, but like I don't know who to blame in those scenarios. Like I want to blame the parents for letting their kids go that far, but like they're 18. They're adults. Everyone thinks they're an adult at 18. I'm 25 and I'm not an adult. I'm just a kid and a more grown body than I was when I was younger, and I have a little bit more knowledge in life. Like that's it. Like I just.
Who do you get mad at in this? You know.
I don't know. I want to get mad at like the social media. I want to get mad at like the public and like just normal media. I want to get mad at like famous pop stars and women that are out there because like, and I get it. You said it's a confidence thing. Like I understand that. Like I will never tell like my girlfriend to be like, you can't wear that. Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be like, you have to wear blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do that. I get it. It's a confidence thing. I trust you. You trust me. Like that's 100% different though, to a degree, because it's not just for everybody. That's for her. And she knows that she's like with somebody like that aspect, but like you're just free willy-nilly. You're taking out all the like, I don't know, you're just taking away from
exclusivity. Yeah, it's something that should be exclusive.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just simply not at
like,
that point.
I have a hard time like imagining, like I've said this before to many girls that I've been in relationships with. I was like, you can't be a stripper. Like you can't do like OnlyFans for sure. Absolutely not. Like some people do it with their relationships and they're doing it. I'm like, no, dude.
No, God!
Like, no. Like, absolutely not. Like No, I was taught that like as I got older, I was taught like if you and your significant other exchange photos, it is a between two in a covenant like aspect. Like they're for you. Like if you end a relationship, delete it. Right? Like it's something that is supposed to be romanticized in a relationship between two people. That it's like your bond. Like now that it's just willy nilly everywhere. Like there's kids thinking like that's just how like things are going. Like what I just saw a TikTok recently, and it was saying that talking about this whole like new thing coming around because like you know how like there was the whole step bro step sis thing going on. Now it's like free use.
No, I'm unfamiliar with it.
Okay, well, I just saw it like yesterday, but like there's this whole thing going around about free use apparently, and I'm just like appalled by it. I'm like, you can't just, I don't know, I feel like you're taking away. I think our world is just going into a very back in day Japan.
Yeah, I mean,
we're getting into our degenerate age.
They were at their peak. Go ahead.
It's just, it makes you feel so worthless to know that your partner, who is supposed to be your one and only partner, can be viewed by everyone for the same price as a bag of apples.
Dang,
Like that's, I mean, there's no scarcity. There's no effect of, you know, like if something is rare, it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not rare if everyone can see it.
Yeah, there's a saying of if I have a key to lock every door, that's valuable. But if I have
A lock that accepts every key, it's a worthless lock.
yeah, and that goes with both genders. Like that's put on like mostly like that's a very gender specific thing on a lot of times when that is said. But like that goes on both genders, right? Mm-hmm. If like I used to be a man.
Yeah,
and like I
self-proclaimed too.
Yeah, I was like proud of it. I was like very proud of it, and like I think you just grow up. You know, I think you find that person, you're just like, she's the one. And I think you just settle in and you're just like, all right, cool, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's hard to think I was ever that person.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, you know, you think about people like Nero that was elected emperor at, 14?
Mm-hmm.
Why is a kid running a country?
Oh, but you got to think those kids were just educated differently back then.
They were
Cleopatra was one of the most educated women in Egypt.
Which is just how they kept information back then,
but
too.
Still, they're a kid.
Yeah.
And if they have access to every resource and every person in that country, in the empire, how are they not going to abuse it?
I don't even think it's them that abuse it. I don't think they know how to abuse it yet. I think it's the people around them that were abusing it. Because you always had like your right hand man, especially with like I've been watching Cleopatra's like documentary because I love the Egyptians. I think that was the great civilization. But she and her brother were technically co-rulers of Egypt.
Okay.
The only difference is that after her father died, his right-hand man saw an opportunity and started kind of hovering over her brother, where Cleopatra went out to visit her land, like actually went to visit like different parts of Egypt and different areas, because technically she was the queen. So yeah, Cleopatra, she was just educated differently. Like her whole goal was to be part of the people. Like she wanted to meet the people. She would go out and all the villages, and then she met Caesar, and then they got married, and then Caesar's ended up taking Cleopatra's sister away, right? But like the point is I don't think them at such a young age was really the issue. I think it was the older people that had been around in the civilization for a long time that like built greed. I don't think kids were naturally greedy back in those days. I think it was, you had the older people who were like, I want the power now. I've worked so hard next to whatever his Pharaoh's name was before Cleopatra. I don't remember, but I worked so hard next to him. I never got what I wanted. I wanted the power. Like I should be running the country. Now it's going to the kids and like they're young. They shouldn't have this. I've done more. I think that's where you kind of get into those civilizations where it's like, all right, it's not the kid's fault. I think it's really just people are talking in their ear. I think we do that even nowadays with our kids though.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, I think the point is, and I really admire Marcus Aurelius because he's just such a great leader, and I think somebody like him should be a leader because he's not worried about the money and the power. I mean, I've heard that he was a pretty harsh leader, but which is good because you can't just be lax with everybody. But when he was a kid and he was crowned emperor of Rome, he said, "Okay, but can I have my brother join me as emperor?" Which was like unheard of because usually they would just kill their brother because that was a threat to their power. But he was born into a rich family. He said, I don't really want that money. You can have it. That's not for me. So somebody like that, I think, who is not interested in power at all, that's not their goal. Somebody like that, I think, is a safe choice. Mm-hmm. Now they can change, but just that mindset of, he almost didn't want to be emperor. And that's why he should be emperor.
Well, you look at the best ones. You look at George Washington, and all it's the people that don't want to do it are like, fine, if I'm the right person, then that's really who you're looking for. It's like I've personally said, like, I would never want to be in politics or president or anything because, like, I feel like you got to be crazy. Yeah. Like the amount of narcissism that you need to go out there and I'm the best, I'm going to do this, and just lying to people. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Any politician, like, you have to lie. Mm-hmm. You're not intending to lie, but just like you get in office,
make false promises.
Right. You realize, okay, we can't actually do that, but like, oh, I had the right idea, right? that happens to everyone, right? It's like every president has lied about doing something or made a false promise, but
except for Richard Nixon.
Oh, he didn't have the chance. You didn't give him long enough, man. That's the issue there.
He was definitely not a crook.
Yeah, no, he's a straight up guy. But yeah, it's you look at people and say, would you guys ever want to get into politics or anything like that? No. Yeah, it doesn't attract me.
Yeah, why you would want to do that is beyond me.
I would love to get into politics, though, just because I look at our politics now. I mean, like, I would not want to run the world, but I mean, if for just a brief second, if I could just be in there and be like, can we tweak this a little? Can we not,
You're in there for life. It's a life sentence.
I mean, you get kickbacks, you get a nice house, you can have, a whole bunch of money that's not your government salary. Well, why wouldn't you?
Your portfolio just skyrockets, You
get protection for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That'd be a pretty decent pension, too, I'm sure. Yeah.
You'll like this one. You can golf on any golf course.
Oh, man. That'd be cool. I just got to get good. That's first step. Then they'll let me out there.
To be president, you need to know how to tell false truths. You need to be a little bit older and
good smile.
Good smile. Yeah. A good shaking hand that you have to throw out there when you're talking, and golf.
Yep.
Oh no, but terrible golfers have been president. Like Obama wasn't that good.
Well, they all went golfing.
President goes golfing. Trump better be a good golfer. He owns like 20 courses, but
he also owns 20 like fucking casinos.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think he's a good gambler.
No, I don't think so either. But
well, I don't want to end this, but I think it's time.
All right.
I appreciate you having us, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun.
This is a good conversation. Very well rounded.
Yeah, very well rounded. We went around the whole world with this conversation. So just want to sign off and say thank you for joining.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye.